Do you believe the 2020 election was stolen?
That's a good question. It really depends on your definition of stolen. Do I think there was unconstitutional voter laws passed in the 2020 election that resulted in Joe Biden winning? Absolutely. Do I necessarily know for a fact that that was a result of like election fraud? Absolutely not. No, I can't verifiably prove that. But I think there was a lot of not so above the water actions that happened in the 2020 election.
If you're not certain that voter fraud, mass voter fraud, whatever, the dead voters, all these different things we've heard caused Trump to lose, is it not dangerous for him to be saying that as if there was evidence for it?
MAGA needs to make a flag that says, "My feelings don't care about your facts."
I don't agree that those idiots that went into the Capitol were there to subvert democracy. I think most of them were just a bunch of potheads that thought it was a big party to go crash the Capitol. And I don't think that Trump sent them at all to go do that. Sure.
But when he said, let's go to the Capitol and we got to show them strength.
So that's fine. I could go to the Capitol, stand there right now, yell and scream and show strength. Doesn't mean I want to subvert democracy. Doesn't mean I want an insurrection. And the other thing is, how do you run an insurrection with no weapons? Those idiots weren't going to take over the country.
Well, according to the January 6th, there were a lot of guns that were in the crowd.
In the crowd? Were they in the Capitol?
Well, nobody opened fire in the Capitol, but they were using bear spray. They were hitting people with flagpoles and signs. There was violence.
A couple of idiots that got out of hand. If I remember correctly, there was a group back in the 70s, some Puerto Rican group, I believe, that actually set off bombs in the Capitol. Were they insurrectionists? Were they subverting democracy?
And they were prosecuted.
Good, and they should have been. I don't think some of these guys that were in there just walking around aimlessly should be in jail for the rest of their life. That's bullcrap.
MAGA's so good at this whataboutism. My favorite is like, what about the Puerto Ricans? What about January 6th? Well, what about the Puerto Ricans? What planet am I on?
So what do you make of these criminal charges and moving around to classified documents and trying to overthrow the election illegally?
Well, for one, you're talking to someone that was there on January 6th. He didn't try to overthrow the election, okay? What he tried to do was the legal way, and what actually happened was the staged coup that took place on January 6th so that they could take the electoral powers to actually certify the election. What Trump was trying to do was very legal. All these phony indictments is all going to bite the Democrats in the butt because it had to happen to Trump first. This is so that the American people can accept it for when Trump comes back, and the revenge tour is going to be the sweetest.
You mentioned you were there on January 6th. There's
Yes.
some people who claim January 6th was Antifa or Nancy Pelosi. How do you know that?
I was there. I was right there at, right there front steps. I was part of the first group that was there. I seen what was going on. I seen that everybody was standing there peacefully, singing Amazing Grace. Once people got to the steps, that's where everybody was like, whoa, what is going on here? Everybody felt that. There was a group of like 30 to 40 people that walked around with megaphones that was screaming, "This is your chance, fight for your freedom." Trying.
Who were those people?
I have no idea. I only knew the 5 people I traveled down there with, but.
So you think that those people were either Nancy Pelosi or instigators or?
Hasn't it come out that how many FBI informants were actually on the ground? How many Capitol Police officers, undercover cops were on the ground? Have you guys not seen the body cam of the actual Capitol Police officer, Metropolitan Police officer, where he's climbing the scaffolding, encouraging people to, keep moving forward? Yes, I do believe that was police and D.C. people that tried to encourage people, tried to get patriots that were upset about the election, which we had every right to be upset about the election. It was stolen.
What would be their advantage of trying to get people so riled up to commit violence and to get arrested? And what would
the reason was because with what happened on January 6th, with the coup that happened, that was why they were able to shut the whole thing down. Then they came back at 2:00 and Nancy Pelosi was given those powers and all that, and then Mike Pence certified the election. Without that happening, Nancy Pelosi wouldn't have been able to take the actions that she took.
So I was literally on the steps of the Capitol on January 6th. Literally. The videos I've done were showed by the January 6th committee during the hearings as proof that as soon as Pence certified the vote, they popped off. And like they said as much in my interviews. I have footage of people like ripping the doors off. People gave me their footage. It was like people documented themselves. And there's wide documentation that this was planned ahead of time. This was not like some spur of the moment thing that they just happened to have some zip ties and bear spray lying around. And I was like, well, I mean, I am dressed to go paintballing, so why not? Yeah, and also there's this fiction that like we didn't know what was happening inside the Capitol. And I was there and they definitely knew what was happening inside the Capitol because the people were coming back out and telling everyone what was happening inside the Capitol. So it wasn't a mystery to anyone what was taking place. If you were like further away, maybe. Also, as soon as Trump stopped talking, these people, I watched thousands of them just go whoosh. I thought they were leaving. I was like, wow, they are moving so quickly. So they moved. They were there for blood and, people died. Yeah, there's also a conspiracy theory that I was behind. And thank you, InfoWars.